So you see Paxton, and what's the first thing you did?
I think I called a buddy and said, "You're not going to believe this," but pretty excited to see that on there.
So where's the car?
Car's outside here, Jerry.
Okay.
We've been coming down to Arizona for about 15 years. Mopar guy at heart. I guess Dad was into Mopars, and hence I was as well. So this is actually the first Ford I've ever owned.
So how'd you get this car, and when did you get it?
I actually got it last spring. Noticed it coming up for sale in an estate sale locally here in the Phoenix area. My wife had gone to a previous sale there and won some items. I actually went to pick them up when I saw the car.
I am Sheila, Daryl's wife. Daryl's not a Ford guy, and when he was looking at this car and he sent it to me, I said, "I think you should buy this car." And he was hesitant. I said, "No, seriously, you should buy this car." And he did.
I walked in and, great looking patina on it. And like I say, not really a Ford guy, but it definitely caught my eye. And this isn't typically an automotive auction, so I thought maybe there's a chance there won't be that many bidders competing against me on it. So when we purchased the car, won the car at the auction, really hadn't paid that much attention to it while it was up for sale, or prior to the sale, didn't do any investigating.
But that was all about to change as Daryl got into the mystique and mystery of the cars of Carroll Shelby, helped by one of the preeminent automobile clubs of the past half century, the Shelby American Automobile Club, otherwise known as SAC. GT-350s came with the 289 High Performance.
I didn't realize what it was when we were looking at the car initially, but it actually has a Paxton Supercharger mount here and the idler and crank pulley as well.
The antiquity of this unit gives pause for concern. Did Shelby install this when the car was new? Or did an owner add it later, or even the dealer? And what difference does that make in value? If Shelby American installed this blower before sending it to the dealer, brand new, this car is worth 3 to 4 times a regular GT-350.
Yeah, pretty excited to see that on there, and it looked like it had been on there a long, long time.
You can see Paxton cast into the bracket, and these units were available for anybody to purchase and install themselves. Let's look at the Shelby number under the hood, driver's side.
It's number 2293.
Okay. First thing you do when you get a Shelby is you go to the Shelby registry to look up your car. If you're smart, you'll do that before you buy your car. Now, here, this thing is a big, big tome. Now, they've got smaller ones today, but this is the old one. The big one has all the years in it. Mine, you can see, has seen better days. The front cover and back cover are gone. And looking up your car in all this small print is going to be hard, but I've already been there, see? And I want to go to 2293. It's right here on this page.
The car was shipped to Gotham Ford in New York. I want you to see an artifact from Gotham Ford.
Looks like it's been tucked under here for quite a while. Don't see any year on it or anything, but later.
Purchased new by Potter Instrument Company in Long Island. And that may explain the rust seen here.
This is the provenance. There is also
a list of the car's original features and present features as far as their research goes at the time, showing lime gold paint and 15-inch steel wheels, which look to be upgraded to Shelby 10 spokes. Also black interior and no air conditioning.
When you look up your number, which is
2293, I don't have paperwork saying it had a Paxton installed on it from Shelby, but it also doesn't say a Hono drive was installed.
That door, I think you can see pretty good in there.
A what? A Hono drive? What's that?
And did notice that it had a second shifter on the floor. I wasn't sure what that was for, but I had no idea what that second one was until after we got the car. Copy of the Hono drive. I do have on my phone, I've got a clip of a Shelby ad.
Honeo.
Yeah, O drive.
Okay.
So this is how it's bolted to a 9-inch Ford. It actually they removed the carrier, or the front end of the carrier, I guess the carrier bearing support, and then the Hono drive in this application bolts directly on.
There's that same shifter like seen on the Shelby.
It's an overdrive unit. You cut your gear ratio, I think it's by about 30% when you shift into the high ratio. So
Go drag racing with those digger gears, shift that Hono drive into high, and drive the car home with a much taller gear for the highway. It looks like your pedals here have very little wear on them.
I mean, I don't know much about them, Jerry, but
Maybe they, and then the miles here, what?
3354.
53,000 or?
3300. Or sorry, 3244. I do think it's got to be more than 3,000 miles, but I don't think it's wrapped over. There's not really any wear on the seats either, which they're cracked obviously from heat, but they're not worn out.
In the same way, it looks like that wood wheel is very.
That's definitely seen too much sun.
That's indicative of probably being in the sun.
When I got the car, there was no the brake master cylinder and brake booster were missing from the car, so I think that was initially the reason it was parked back in '86. That was the last time it was registered. It still had the '86 plates on it.
And they read 426, kind of like a subliminal cut for a Mopar guy to buy this Ford.
This is the Le Mans carburetor. It's called. It's all the factory Holly for these cars.
Well, for normally aspirated cars.
That won't work with the Supercharger plenum though. You have to use a mechanical secondary carburetor in that with the Supercharger.
Yeah, they came with those auto lights.
Yeah.
And you can click on the link above to watch another 1967 GT-350 Shelby find. This one with a factory Paxton Supercharger. Darrell replaced the master cylinder and brake booster. The water pump and the old cracked and broken fuel lines, and the 289 fired up. Guess there's a possibility that 3,000 something is original miles. I don't know.
Well, the thing that throws that off is that the warranty repair work was done at 5,600 miles on the Hono drive axle seal.
Darrell paid SAC $92 plus an annual membership fee for copies of documents like this warranty form.
This is a copy of the warranty paperwork back to Shelby. They had a leaking axle seal. Gotham Ford did the repair on it. This is September of '67. Circled item, part of powertrain unit. Over 4,100 miles out of warranty. And that was signed off by RW someone.
And this is just the invoice from a Ford dealer that fixed it.
So it's invoice from Gotham Ford to Shelby America. So it's billed back to Shelby for this axles leaking. Potter Instruments Corp was the original owner, and they were in New York as well. The car is at 5,600 miles here. The Hono drive only had 1,500 mile warranty from factory.
Oh, on the Hono drive. Oh, okay, I got you.
Well, it's rear axle seal, but you have to pull Shelby had to pull the axles to install the Hono drive. So then he became liable for that axle seal leaking.
Oh.
Shelby, at that time, Shelby wasn't even bolting the wheels on it. If you look at the DSO, it says that Ford is bolting the customer supplied wheels on.
Mm-hmm. Darrell found this Ford paperwork under the seat, under the carpet.
As well, so why would Shelby pay for the seal?
Why do you think Shelby paid for it?
Well, I think Shelby paid for it because Shelby installed it. There's no other explanation.
Excellent.
Why would Shelby pay for it?
While Darrell is doing this research,
Paxton Supercharger pops up at the same auction that the car came from, and not knowing much about Paxton, okay, well, this I knew on the 67 they should be blue, but this one was black. So ended up I did get it at the same auction. This is actually NOS, never been run, never been installed. I think it was made in February of 68, I believe is what that number. And I talked to Craig Conley at Paradise Wheels. He had bought Paxton out back in the day, and he said this is actually a Shelby number, and he figures this was probably a warranty replacement unit for a Shelby, and it was made in February of 68. And starting with a C here, that signifies it was actually a Shelby Supercharger. So this thing is brand new. It's never been run, never been installed.
So how does this tie in maybe to the same auction? Could it have come from the same guy that owned the car?
I mean, what are the odds it didn't? I don't have any way of confirming that, but it just seems very strange that a Shelby Paxton would pop up at the same auction just shortly after the car sold. Draw your own conclusions on that. And it is a Shelby, it's not just a regular Paxton, it actually is a Shelby, serialized Shelby Supercharger. So was this a warranty replacement for that car? Never been used whatsoever. Still got the wax seals in behind it. Made February of 68.
Now there's more parts to it. What's this over here?
Yeah, so it's the air cleaner for the Paxton. So the air intake filter, then attached to the supercharger, and then pressurized air from the supercharger goes into the carburetor. This plenum actually goes around the carburetor. It's not the right. This one I've since got, so it's not the right one.
The club has registrars that will help owners with research.
So let's go down the counter.
If Daryl could just prove Shelby installed a supercharger before the car was sold new.
Actually, here, this is the list that's published online from Shelby of the cars that got the supercharger.
Not a document from SAC.
2213, it says in production. It's known that this car was complete by May 12th of 67. I think I said March earlier, but May 12th of 67. My car was actually in production on May 12th. Both are lime gold. They're the only lime gold car, or this was the only lime gold car to get a supercharger, but this car has been restored and it confirmed it never had a supercharger. 2213. Never got a supercharger. And yet, it's on this list of May 12th as in production. In production to get a supercharger.
But how do we know it didn't get one?
This car is well documented and restored.
Okay.
Beautiful restoration.
Okay, so what's your theory then?
Well, my theory is that 2213 is just a typo for 2293. 2293 is in production on May 12th. 2293 is a lime gold car. 2293 does have a Paxton bracket that's been on it for a very, very long time, if not from factory. So what are the odds? This car, they made a mistake that it was in production. It's actually complete on that day. My car was in production on that day. Was it just a typo of a 1 for a 9?
A valid question,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think so. And where did that supercharger go? It was the last run of, supercharged cars. That's my theory, anyway.
Do you think Shelby installed that Hono drive, or do you think the owner did?
I think Shelby did, because Shelby paid the warranty on the leaking axle seal. Shelby wasn't even according to the DSO that was in the car, Shelby wasn't even bolting the wheels on at that time, so I can't imagine why he would pay for an axle seal to be replaced when they refer to the Hono drive in the Shelby warranty.
Now, the Hono drive, is it verified to have been installed by Shelby in the paperwork?
It is not. Other than that warranty, Shelby paying the warranty on an axle seal.
Okay, so let's go back to a video that we did in 2021. I'll put the link above. This is authenticated in the registry as being a real supercharged 1967 GT-350 restored by this man, Jeff Yurkovich. So looking under here, can you tell anything different about a supercharged car as it sits, or?
No. Other than this ugly hole that's cut in here is factory. That's what Shelby did for the blower to draw air from. And as bad as it's cut, all the cars that have a blower, they all look the same. It's just nasty cut. Shelby didn't do a very good job.
There's just a lot of mystery to it, and I mean, no one can explain where that extra supercharger went, but did that one actually get that supercharger, or was it a typo and it's supposed to be 2293?
Daryl is searching for a person or persons who were present in May of 1967 when the car was delivered at Gotham Ford.